secret? Keep a secret. Can you keep a secret? Oh, keep a secret. Can you keep a secret? I wanna trust you. I wanna trust you. So can you keep my secret? You see this road gets tough, gets cold, but still never lose that hope. You got everything it takes and more. You're not alone in this war. Help is on the way every other day. You can lean on my shoulders, cause you are superhuman. You got my trust and together we can be stronger. So we can talk about it. Yeah, we can talk about it, yeah. So we can talk about it. Talk about it, yeah, let's talk about it, yeah. I feel lonely deep inside, and I wanna talk about it. Can I trust you on my side? Cause I wanna talk about it. Yo, can you keep a secret?
Hi everyone, and thank you for tuning in to Psychest Diaries. Can you keep a secret diaries? My name is Juanita Headley. I am a New York attorney and the founder and CEO of Changing Cases. You are listening to a set of discussions dealing with the issues of human trafficking, child abuse prevention, global issues, and of course, knowing how to respond to the question, can you keep a secret? We will also be taking a look at various other topics, and for you to be able to find out more about these issues, to be able to attend weekly Zoom meetings where we go into more detail, or to subscribe and follow the podcast, or even to get a copy of my new book, Can You Keep a Secret? You can find out more information at the end of this show. Today I am thoroughly excited to have an amazing guest speaker who will be discussing with us a variety of topics linking in with domestic violence and of course with exploitation of not just men but also women. I want to introduce to the show Raymond. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
How do I pronounce your first and last name? I want to make sure I get it correct.
Oyetayo Ojoade, but Tayo for short.
Okay, great. I'm going to read your bio and hopefully I'll get the pronunciation correct. Oyetayo Raymond Ojoade, born from the... I'm going to give up, that's too difficult. Born from the cross-cultural union between a Trinidadian mother and Nigerian father, began his technical career in computer graphics in Lagos, Nigeria. His interest in still art and photography, stimulated by a Bachelor of Technology degree in Industrial Design Graphics obtained at the Abu Bakar Tafawa Balewa University of Technology, Bauchi, Nigeria, 1997 to 2001, further developed a curiosity in moving pictures, thus his interest in film. As such, pursued a Bachelor of Arts degree in film at the University of the West Indies St. Augustine campus in Trinidad, where he excelled in courses such as editing, photography, cinematography, and documentary making. He currently works as a network support technician in the film program at this very same university. He has directed 5 short films and 2 feature films, a documentary entitled The Pursuit of Truth at 125, 2018, a documentary entitled Bottom in the Road, 2015, The Madonna Murti, 2013, a feature documentary, an investigative documentary entitled Who Let the Dogs Out, 2008, an animated narrative film Sak Me Sukoyan Sak Me, 2009, Shouters and the Control Freak Empire, 2010, a documentary that was screened at the Columbia George International Film Festival, Vancouver, Washington in August 2011. Tayo's choice in subject matter for his documentary films is fed by the duality that is a result of his cross-cultural heritage and the rich intercultural experiences nourished by both his mother's land and his father's heart. Tayo, who grew up with his parents in Nigeria, where his father, Professor J. Oluwo Ojoade, has been a lecturer in the University of Jos since 1972 and professor of African folklore there from 1981 to the present, has inherited from his father an interest in a rich social and cultural heritage, and Tayo seeks to preserve this through audiovisual means, creating awareness where necessary of the social problems inherent in some areas. As a producer and editor, Tayo looks forward to developing his skills in the field of documentary making in Trinidad and Tobago. Tayo's latest film, Behind Closed Doors, Violence Against Men, is the first of a three-part documentary series focusing on gender-based violence in Trinidad and Tobago. It will tell the stories of heterosexual males who are or were victims of domestic violence. It will also provide an in-depth look at the current type of help and support available to male victims and the underlying factors responsible for male victims' unwillingness to disclose their experiences. Tayo believes it will make a meaningful contribution to Trinidad and Tobago by removing some of the stereotyping and preconceptions culturally embedded into our heteronormative society. Therefore, raising awareness through this film should help alleviate and change some of these societal stigmas and allow male victims to come forward without humiliation to get the necessary assistance and protection they need. He has been awarded awards 2013 Indie Fest Film Awards, Award of Merit, Madonna Murty Short Documentary, 2012 Best Shorts Competition Award of Excellence in Trinidad and Tobago, Shouters and the Control Freak Short Documentary, and 2011 Best International Short Documentary, Columbia George International Film Festival, Vancouver, Washington, Shouters and the Control Freak Empire. Raymond, is there anything in addition that you'd like to add to what I've shared? Anything that I maybe have missed out? It looks like you're on mute. So you have to remember to unmute yourself. You're currently on mute.
Yes, sorry. I no longer work in the University of the West Indies. I now teach in a local community college called COSTAT, College of Science, Technology, and the Applied Arts in Trinidad and Tobago. I teach photography and videography.
Thank you for clarifying that. To begin, I would like you to tell us more about your background. Of course, we just heard from the bio that you have parents from Nigeria and from Trinidad. Can you tell us a bit about your background and particularly about the culture in Nigeria and how that differs from Trinidad?
Okay. I grew up in the Middle Belt called Jos in Plateau State of Nigeria. Well, my father is Yoruba, my mother is a Trinidadian. But you know, in most homes, if not all homes, you learn the mother tongue, and it's usually your mother's language. So my mother's language is English, and we learned English in the house. Even though my father was Yoruba, he didn't have the time to teach us his language. So I always say I blame him for that. But growing up, as we were three in the family, I am the first boy. I have an older sister and a younger brother. I had kind of a freedom growing up. My dad, when he realized I was too free at a point in time, he started to beat me. He beat me twice. And that did not stop me from becoming the black sheep in my family. But after failing school 3 times, I failed school in primary school once and twice in secondary school. I learned my lesson. And since then, I have now become a better person in the society. What else might you want to hear from me? You want to hear a bit about Nigeria?
Most definitely, because for those of us who have not had the opportunity to travel there, it would be nice of you to share about the culture, particularly with regards to even gender issues, which is some of the things we spoke about prior to today's interview, because we know that there is a lot of presumptions made and that there tends to be a lot of negative press surrounding Nigeria. So if you can tell us about the culture so we can get an understanding of what it really is like from your own personal experience, even when it comes to how women may be treated, particularly in marriage, that I think would be very useful for the listening audience.
Okay, let me tell you from now that I'm not really an expert in that area, but I could tell you a bit about what I know growing up in Nigeria. Nigeria got its independence from Britain in October 1st, 1960. We have over 250, and I repeat, 250 ethnic groups. And each group has its own culture, dress code, and way of life. There are three main cultures, or should I say tribes in Nigeria. The Hausa in the north, the Igbo in the east, and the Yoruba in the west and the south. There are two main languages, Christianity and Muslims. Christians are 40% and Muslims are 50%. Corruption has since taken the most part of Nigeria due to bad governance. So Nigeria, which was its economy was based on petroleum and oil from way back in the 60s, but it's no longer that way anymore, you know, due to the oil prices and the dishonesty of leaders. But Nigeria still has a lot of resources like crude oil, we have iron ore, we have limestone, we have precious stones, we have columbites, just to mention a few, you know. But in terms of the culture, when I left Nigeria to come to live in Trinidad, I witnessed a culture shock. I see that women in Trinidad have the upper hand. Women are in charge. Men seem to allow the women to take charge, you know, and they are kind of laid back. But this has led to violence in the home because the women start to disrespect the men, and the men cannot take it, and they end up, you know, either trying to beat up the women, and it leads to sometimes the men kill the women kill the children, and the men even kill themselves as well, you know, and vice versa. The women too are starting to turn against the men and you know, start to beat up men as well. And that is why I'm now working on a documentary on violence against men, because the voices of men are not heard. They always think it's only about women, and they always think they only think that it's only men who attack women, but women attack men as well. Yes.
Thank you for sharing that. And of course, you've made a very valid point that men are sometimes victims too. Unfortunately, it is not spoken about enough. And you may indeed recall of a recent issue, which I saw in social media, of a man who I believe fell in love with a woman or was groomed into a relationship. And it seems as though she duped him and ran off with his money, or she slept with him and ran off with his money, something along the lines. But the storyline is that people are laughing at this man. I think it was that she actually raped him, and people found it funny and humorous because unfortunately society believes that men cannot be raped. Of course, we know when it comes to boys, absolutely, that is a person under the age of consent. But once a person turns over the age of sexual consent, then a story of a man being raped, being in a relationship, being duped is something that is sadly laughed about. What would you say that you love most about Trinidad, and what would you say that you miss most about Nigeria?
That's a tough question there. Okay. Because I would say Trinidad is only a drop in the ocean when it comes to Nigeria. Nigeria is such a very big country. So in Nigeria, if someone is pursuing let's say, a job in my field, which is videography, there is a lot of competition. But because Trinidad is such a very small island, one is educated and has experience, he or she is sure of getting a job almost immediately if you work hard here in the West Indies. And that's one thing why I am happy to be around here right now, because it's a small place, and once you make your name known and you work hard, you get what you deserve out there.
Thank you for sharing that. And of course, depending on a culture, then there are major differences. There are always pros and cons to every country that we go to. And it's great that you're able to share, because as I said, there's a lot of negative information that is transmitted in relation to Nigeria. In fact, there's a recent case of some girls, I don't recall the number, but girls who actually had been kidnapped. I believe that was in Nigeria. However, the great news is that the girls have indeed been restored back to their family members. What would you say is the driving force behind the work that you do, particularly with the documentary? What is the driving force behind it? Is it faith? Is it your cultural experiences? Is it your background? What first motivated you to actually deal with this topic?
Sorry, I'm not hearing you properly. There's some noise in the background. Can you repeat the question, please?
Certainly. I was just trying to ask you, what was the driving force behind you initially involving yourself with this topic of domestic violence? Is it because of your cultural background? What was the initial driving force behind what you do?
Okay. For as long as I can remember, we only hear about violence against women. Nothing has been said or done, or should I say little or nothing has been done on violence against men. Almost all the laws are favoring women, nothing for men. Let's say a woman is beating you up, beating a man up. The man cannot touch her, because once he touches her, problem, he goes to jail, even though it is her own fault. That's very unfair to the man. The man cannot even see his children. If he and the wife break up now, the children automatically go to the woman. Why the woman? Why not the man? Men can take care of the children too. Men cannot breastfeed, but they can take care of the children. But everything is always woman. So men are, and again, because of the macho man syndrome, men are shy to speak out. Because once they speak out, they are laughed at, and the public takes them to be very weak. And when a man is seen to be weak, the people around him tend to isolate him, and he starts to feel as if he's not very important, And as a man, if I go back to the Bible, they say the man is made to be the head of the home. According to a local psychologist here in Trinidad, Dr. Peter Weller, he says men are about the 3 P's: the protector of the family, the procreator of the family, and one more. It just slipped on my head. But you see, if men don't show that they are in control, there's a problem. And when I say control, they don't have to be mean about it, but just to get that respect from the significant other, and to give them the authority to take charge. Once a man doesn't take charge, he feels as if he's useless.
Bearing in mind what you've just shared, did you experience or face any resistance in making this documentary? Because as you just mentioned there, the 2/3 Ps is that there is this perception that men are supposed to be a certain way. And as a result of that, you've rightly explained that when there is an altercation, immediately the suspicion is placed upon the man. There isn't this innocent until proven guilty, when in fact we know that there are instances when a man in a heterosexual relationship can indeed experience violence. Did you experience any resistance or any major challenges when you were doing your research or when you were preparing to actually talk to survivors or victims of domestic violence?
First of all, I haven't gotten any kind of funding, no grant, nothing. Everything is out of pocket. It's been a rough road for me. I recently joined a men's group, and the person in charge helped me to locate men who have been abused by their significant others. But the only way I could interview them was if I was going to hide their faces and change their voices, because they are afraid to talk out in public. I agreed, and since then I've gotten over 10 victims, and I have interviewed them. It has not been easy.
And when you communicated with these men, what were some of the difficulties that you encountered when interviewing them? When you heard their stories for the first time, did you find them unbelievable? How did you respond and react when interviewing them and hearing some of their stories? How did it change the way that you now view some of the things that people are going through, some of these men and young boys who are going through such experiences?
That's a very hard question to answer, because I have heard a lot about men and what they go through being abused by their spouses or girlfriends or any the female partners. Some of those stories were very hard for me to believe, but some of those men were almost in tears. They are most of them are going through court cases right now. Most of them have left the homes. Some of them own the homes. They've left the homes and they're now renting outside. But it's, as I said, I don't even know how to experience it, to tell you, because I could tell you for me now, I could say I am going through a similar case, because late last year, my significant other, in front of my 10-year-old child, told me she was smarter than me. That really broke me up. And up to now, I haven't been able to come to terms with what she meant by that. And I thank God my daughter is mature and she's not taking it the other way. I keep on talking to her, and I tell her that whatever happens in the near future, I'm still there for her. So I feel for this man, because I think I'm going through the same kind of experience, and it is not a good experience at all. It's not. It's not.
Thank you. I'm sorry to hear about what you've been through, and the reality is that you're not the first individual to have experienced this, and you will not be the last. It is a very sad thing, but I believe that every one of us who has difficult and challenging experiences, even relationships, that those experiences can actually be turned around for positive, and in fact, our story can inspire someone else going through the very same thing. What would you say is your greatest motivation in life?
You're making me thinking now. Hard work. And I put myself hard work. Just hard work. And you have to continue. Don't let anything stop you or push you back. Just keep at it, and you will succeed.
And that's such a very true and a very relevant statement, particularly when we think about today being National Women's Day, and the fact that every one of us, male and female, we're all going to have challenges, we're all going to have obstacles and oppositions, but it's about using those things as a stepping stone, as a means to get to the end goal. I want to ask, with regards to your documentary, what is the end goal? What do you desire to see the fruit of all of this hard labor? You've invested time and finances. What is the end goal for the documentary? How do you see it impacting and changing lives?
I hope this will raise knowledge and let the government ministries involved in family affairs introduce training programs in schools to help female and male children to understand and respect each other and love each other from a tender age. I hope this will get even NGOs to put out training programs through social media, short videos, to let the public know that men can be victims too. And men are not only perpetrators. It's not only men that beat up women. Women beat up men as well. But right now, the public do not believe that men can be victims. I hope this documentary will, because this documentary is a 3-part series. The first part is on violence against men. Second part is going to be violence against women, and the third part is going to be violence against LGBTQ. So I hope this will enlighten the public and those out there who have some affliction to helping the public to put things out, and just not just to start, but continue. Like have, back in the days, we used to have youth clubs, help the youth. That stopped. They should bring that back out again. Most of these schools, they don't even have, or should I say, there are more female teachers in schools now. We need to get more male teachers back in there to help the male child get a father figure. Because right now, most of these children in the West Indies are brought up with only their mothers, where their fathers. So I want some ministry out there to bring back things that will enlighten the young man, the young boy, to know that, look, don't just turn to crime. You can be loved and cared for, but we need to have men to show these boys that, look, it's not crime, but we can love you. And if we can teach them from a young age, we won't have violence all over the world. It will change. So I am trying my best with this documentary to try something out there, and I hope it works.
And I also hope too that you are able to affect change. You're doing a lot of great work, and as you shared earlier, the funding isn't there. What do you say needs to be done for the resources to come in? That's the financial resources for the support. What needs to be done? Who is it that you're reaching out to try to get further financial aid? And for those listening in, what would you say to them so that they too can have the opportunity to support you?
You see, between me and you, if this was a documentary on violence against women, by now I'm sure I would have gotten a grant. But because it's about men, you see, all the laws were made by men for women and not men. Men did not believe that they will be affected in any way. See, so that's the problem. Because it's about men, I'm not getting any help. So I don't know. I don't know, but I mean, somebody has to do something. Somebody has to try. I mean, we are only few, you know, bringing the word out. But as I said, I really hope this goes somewhere.
And I completely understand that. And I too appreciate that this is a lot of work. It's an important topic. And although the finances is not there, I think that it is inspiring that you have continued to proceed further with the project. And as you said, it is a 3-part series. If there was somebody who was listening in who had a story to share, what would you say to them? Maybe they are one of the 3 groups of people. Maybe they have been through domestic violence and they're male or female or LGBTQ. What would you say to them if they were listening to today's interview?
Seek help immediately. Do not be shy. Do not hide because of being scared or because of the children. Come on and seek help. There's help out there. You just have to find it. I mean, there's help out there. The police service now have a gender unit that helps victims, both men and women. I interviewed the person in charge of the gender unit, and they say since January last year they have been getting reports. So the help is out there. They shouldn't keep quiet. They should call, and the help is going to be out there. Help is there.
Why do you think domestic violence in relation to men is not taken as seriously as it is for women? You've just made the statement that help is available. I concur. In the UK where I'm from, there are organizations that do provide support. However, primarily the support is provided for women and not for men, which is, of course, an issue when men are indeed victims. But what do you say to that question?
You see, again, they don't believe that men are weak. We don't believe that men can have problems. But that's the problem. Men are also the same thing that women go through, men go through. But because men are too proud, because men are ashamed to shed tears in public, because men fake it that all is well, we will not get anywhere. We won't get any help. You know, so as I said earlier on, I have tried. I am not the only one who is trying, but we have to put the word out there. Men are victims too, and the men need help.
I most definitely agree with you, and it's a good thing you're making this documentary, because by doing so, you're able to shine a light on this topic that really isn't spoken about, and is something that many have not even thought or considered. What do you feel is the state of relationships today? And of course, that's such a broad question, particularly when we think about how we have modern technology, how we have internet dating, how we have mail order brides. What do you say about relationships today? What is your personal opinion and viewpoint?
Okay, we have to go back to parenthood and how we raise our children from when they're born. Parents don't have to be living together, but the mother and the father have to come together to take care of the child. There has to be love, respect. There has to be please, I'm sorry, and thank you. They have to know when to use these words. And it has to be continuous in the child's life. The parents are not meant to be fighting. I grew up with my parents. If they were fighting behind closed doors. I never saw them fight. So today, I don't fight. So a child learns what he or she sees. If a child grows up with both parents fighting, the child will automatically take think that fighting is normal, and they will fight, and they will keep on fighting when they're mature. So it has to start from when you're a baby. Love your child, show respect, teach them how to live amongst each other, male and female. The boys should know how to be boys. There has to be a father figure in the house, outside, in the field, in school, to show the boys how to be young men. Same thing with women. There has to be a mother figure in the house and the schools to show the women, the girls, how to be ladies and how to take care of a man, and men how to take care of the women. And that's how we will grow in peace and harmony.
How does the rise of female empowerment help or hinder the domestic violence process? And on the back of that, I wanted to actually just sort of echo what you were sharing there, because in the Bible it says, train your children the way they should go, and when they get older, they will not depart. And there are people who would have heard what you said and misunderstood, but you've made a very, very valid point there, that girls need to know how to behave and how to treat a man, and boys need to know how to treat a female, a wife. And of course, if we are not teaching our own children that, we know social media, movies, and pornography will teach them, and often teach them in a very incorrect way.
Okay, the rise of female empowerment is a good thing, because when you educate a woman, you educate the society. But it is also a bad thing, because when modern women today will tell everybody that they don't need a man. They will say, oh, a man can give them his sperm in a cup to make their children. But they fail to understand that without the man in the house, the children do not grow up the right way. Because especially male and female need mommy and daddy. Because a female needs part of the mother and part of the father growing up. A boy needs part of the mother and part of the father growing up. If the boy only has the mother, the boy will grow up with and might even get female tendencies. He will lack male machoism, which he needs as well. The girl will only have one side, so she won't know how to treat a man. So if the father was there, the father will take his daughter out and show her around, teach her how to be a lady, and teach her how to respect men. So the woman will grow up to see her father and see men like her father. Because they say the female loves the father and the boy loves the mother. And the female wants to have a husband like the father, and the boy wants to have a wife like his mother. But if you only have one parent in the house, you lack, and you lack a lot. And most of the time, it becomes negative in the future and causes a lot of problems with that child.
Would you say the amount of money a person earns contributes towards domestic violence? Would you say that there is a link between salary and domestic violence?
Of course, there's a link between salary and domestic violence, because once the person earns much more money than the significant other, the person tends to have the final say in the house, and they don't care of the opinion of the next person, because to them the person is beneath them. Again, if you have good home training from young, salary doesn't matter. But these days, when you see the modern woman, the woman that's empowered, and she says she doesn't want to have anything to do with a man. If she gets involved with a man, she tends to use the man, and vice versa. And that's why it falls back to parenthood, and both parents teaching the child the values of life.
I want to ask, do you think that a woman who is in a relationship which she does not earn any money, for example, a housewife, would you say she's more at risk of domestic violence? I mean, there are movies and there are documentaries and reality shows where we see the real wives of Atlanta, for example. Would you say that such women are more at risk of domestic violence because they do not earn any income whatsoever? They keep house and look after the children and will have to ask their spouse for money to meet every one of their needs, even basic needs such as buying underwear.
Again, it falls back to parenting. If the man grew up with both parents and there was love, respect, there was please, there was thank you in the family, he would treat his wife with love. But if he didn't grow up with that, that's where violence will start. So there has to be love in that house.
In addition to love, what else do you feel society can do to prevent women and men, boys and girls experiencing domestic violence? We know according to the Bible that love conquers all, but in addition to that, what else is required? What else can society do to bring an end to violence against the vulnerable?
I said it earlier on. Society should start youth clubs for children, both male and female. Continue it. Don't just start and stop. They should create training programs to teach single parents to cope with being a single parent. They should have numerous campaigns with short videos to put out there to tell the public that, look, men too have problems, not only women. To educate the public about violence against men and women and children.
In what ways does violence impact on a child's development? You've spent a lot of time talking about how it is important for children to be raised in a household with a male and female, and for them to be trained appropriately so that they understand the right way to respond to different people, different genders, etc. What would you say?
You see, a child grows up and acts out what he or she has learned. So if there was love in the house, that child will be loving. If there was violence in the house, the child will be very violent. It's going to affect the schoolwork. The children will hardly have any friends. They will be loners. And they will need to be counseled, because their way of life will be different from the normal child out there.
What other ways would you say that it impacts the child's development?
Yes. What are the ways? What are the ways? Child's development. They will end up joining bad friends. They will end up going into a life of crime if they don't have the right support. And again, that's why I come back to parenting from early. There has to be love, respect in the house. If not, the children will just go haywire. There has to be please, thank you. All of that. Respect, love and respect. And your children will be loving. The children will grow up to respect and love everybody around them. But without that, they will become very, very violent.
After what you've just shared there, I'm curious to know, what are your feelings on corporal punishment? For me personally, I do not believe in using corporal punishment. And we know that there are those who use the scripture, do not spare the rod, to justify that. quite recently somebody was making reference on a Facebook post that it doesn't actually mean using brute force, because after all, the Bible says, thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. And if you're using a rod to beat a person, there's clearly no comfort in. What are your opinions on using corporal punishment in the household? Because after all, in my opinion, when you use corporal punishment, you are not teaching the child respect, you're teaching them fear. And sometimes that child might go on to go and emulate what you have taught them by using corporal punishment against their peers or later on against their partner, whether that is male or female. What are your viewpoints?
You see, growing up in Nigeria, when I was bad, I was beaten, and that beating changed me. So yes, I will say, don't make it a habit, but if it gets out of hand, the child has to have some beatings, because in the African culture, if you don't beat a child, that child will not learn. The Western culture, the children call their parents by their first names. African culture, we don't do that. It's respect. You even have to kneel down to say good morning. You know, but here in the West, the children don't respect their parents at all. So that's the first thing again. Back to respect. There has to be respect of the younger one with the older one. But the younger ones here are in charge of the house. What the hell is that? You can't do that. You can't do that. So there has to be respect. So yes, I will say, don't make it a habit. But if the child is, and again, you don't even need to beat your child if you teach your child the right way, the right thing. And again, it's back to parenting from early age. I will keep on saying that. Love, respect. If you have that in your house, there's no need for beating, because your child will know what to do and what not to do. And your child is going to respect you and respect others around them. But the minute you don't have, the minute you don't have love and respect, then things just blow up.
And absolutely concur when it comes to respect. I wouldn't say that in the West, the absence of corporal punishment is why children are badly behaved. I would say it's through the absence of discipline. For me personally, when I travel the world and I volunteer in orphanages or safe houses, I do not use corporal punishment. I would not be allowed to do such a thing, and I don't believe in it. But I communicate with the children, and I'm able to get them to show me respect. But there are ways in which one can do that. And I feel that the best way is through rewarding good behavior and disciplining bad behavior. And in fact, what I've observed, even when we think about, for example, the story of Job, about how the enemy, the devil, took away everything from Job. And I find that the most effective punishment is to take away what somebody loves. I even heard about an individual, I don't recall which country, but somewhere in the West, who committed suicide during the lockdown because they had no internet access. And in fact, I've heard of young people in the US, young, I would say under the age of 25, who actually murdered their parents because their parents took away their video game or whatever it was. Of course, that is the extreme, but I certainly believe from my experience that the best discipline is by taking away what that child loves. But of course, nowadays, it's very difficult to do that, because the one thing that we tend to love, we as young people, would be cell phones and technology. And of course, cell phones have a protective mechanism that the parents and caregivers are able to know where their children are at a certain time. With regards to domestic violence, what do you say is one of the reasons why women are now attacking their partners when they're in a heterosexual relationship? What would you say is the cause or the reason behind that? And why is this becoming such a big issue at this current time?
You see, female empowerment, when the women say they don't need a man in the house, again, women are earning much more than men. The women are working harder than the men. Men are very lazy now. Men are allowing the women to take charge. And some men, eventually the men cannot take it anymore. They fight back. And sometimes it's fatal. They will go kill the women, the children, and then take their life as well. You see? But again, it's the men and the women. The women are getting more education. The men, I don't know what's happening. The men are just not pushing themselves out there. But the women are pushing. The women are going forward. The women are going very far and leaving the men behind. So it's a problem now. It's a problem. The men are not as educated as the women. And the men because of their ego, you know, they have problems.
What do you think can be done at this current time to bring a curb to domestic violence, particularly during the lockdown? Because of course in the UK we have heard about the increase in domestic violence because individuals are isolating with the perpetrator. They don't have the capacity to be able to leave. They don't have another place to stay. And so they end up being locked into the house with an abusive person, whether that is a male or a female.
Okay. There has to be a safe place out there for the victims. Right now, we hardly have any safe houses for men. They only have for women, and they're even overcrowded. So they have to make sure these shelters are out there and they're safe, and not only a shelter, but they should have psychologists, people who will train the victims to have better lives. So when they leave the shelter, they're better human beings. We don't have that. We don't have that. And that's why you will see more victims getting hurt during this lockdown. There's no safe place. There's no safe space. There's no safe space, and there's no safe place for them out there. They have to create those safe spaces and places, so they could pick them up one time and take them away from the person that's attacking them.
What do you believe is an effective punishment for perpetrators of domestic violence, whether male or female?
They have to have counseling and training. They have to be put in a safe spot, in a safe space, away from the victims, and get the right training and counseling. That's the only way they will get better.
So what are your opinions on jail or the death penalty, particularly when we think about serious cases of domestic violence?
You see, when we say jail, there should be a separate, I won't even call it jail, but a safe space for perpetrators. If you call that jail, okay, but it's not a different, they should be isolated from the public. And there should be constant counseling, constant training to help them, because they must have grown up seeing this in the family. So they're used to it. You know, so there has to be something, again, constant. It has to be constant. But I don't believe in the death penalty. No.
And likewise, as those who've heard me speak on this program before, I do not believe in the death penalty. I don't believe it solves problems. And what you're saying there is really dealing with the root cause, which I think is really important, whether it's abuse, trafficking, whether it's domestic violence. It's about dealing with the root cause. When we don't deal with the root issue, that individual will continue to perpetrate those same offenses over and over again. Can you just share with us before we wrap up, do you have any future plans? What's next after these 3 documentaries?
Well, I am at the tail end of a master's in career design and entrepreneurship, and the documentary is part of the master's. I am hoping that it will open doors and opportunities for me, because it's coming out of my own company, which is called LRS Productions Trinidad. We are trying to we create short, medium, and long-term documentaries. We do photography, motion graphics, air photography. So we are trying to get the word out there. So I really hope this will open up doors for me and my company and my name to assist, those who need help. And that's why I like to do thought-provoking documentaries that people don't really do at all. It is a rare topic, a documentary of violence against men. Nobody came out to do it. So I said, look, I will do it. So I really hope I get assistance in some way, form, just to help me out in the near future.
And on the back of that, do you have any last words? What about contact information for those individuals who would like to support financially or would like to share their story with you of surviving domestic violence? What are your last words, and what is your contact information for those who would like to be able to find out more about the documentary, or even to provide financial support, which, as you have said, is very much needed for this project?
Well, my number is 1-868-736-6530, and the email address is lrsproductions04@gmail.com. I have said it all, and I really hope that I get to put out that word and to make men who are suffering in silence come out and start to talk out. The gender unit within the police service is out there now. The men can call and they will come and assist. And they said in the past, policemen laugh at male victims when they come to report. They say the victim should take down the policeman's name and badge number and take it to the police commissioner, and he will deal with whoever policeman laughed at the male victim. So male victims should not be afraid. They come out, they will help you. So don't be afraid, be brave and come out.
Thank you so much. And I just want to thank you again for being on today's show. I'm sure that the listening viewers have really learned a lot. I believe that eyes have been opened to the fact that domestic violence does not just affect children and women, but it also affects men too. So thank you once again for being on the show. And of course, we look forward to hearing when your documentary will be released, so that we can let people know that they'll have an opportunity to tune in, to watch, and to be further educated and empowered. So thank you again.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. And for the listening viewers, thank you so much for tuning into Psycast Diaries. I trust the information has been useful to you. I believe we all need knowledge and power so we can be better educated to protect and safeguard the children in our world. For you to get a copy of my new book, Can You Keep a Secret?, to be able to attend my weekly Zoom meetings, or to subscribe to my podcasts, you can reach out to me on my website, changingcases.org. That's changingcases.org. Remember to share this video with friends and family members. We all need knowledge and education so we can better safeguard the people in our world. Knowledge is liberation. Education is liberation. Thank you, and we look forward to seeing you again next week on Psycast Diaries.
Keep a secret, can you keep a secret? Keep a secret, can you keep a secret? I wanna trust you, I wanna trust you. So can you keep my secret?